Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 338. We're going to keep talking about the deposition today a little bit and talk about the slick work that Slate has done going and breaking the redactions using the information in the drop itself. So they have went through and they filled in some of these blanks where we found redactions in the deposition. So I figured that would be a quality follow-up to what we talked about this morning, and definitely something that we should add to the catalog because they also give you a way for you to participate. So we'll get into all of that in this article tonight. And look, like I said, leading up to the deposition, I didn't expect it to have anything like a bombshell in it, right? But it provides a ton of context for those of us who have been following the story. It gives us different things and different mechanisms to use to verify certain aspects of the story. And the most important thing, like I just mentioned in my opinion, is the context that it provides for the overall conversation. And I thought that would be the case, and I'm still going through it for myself. I'm on like page 236 right now, but so far, it's a lot of context, a lot of stuff that we knew, and it's Ghislaine Maxwell being very evasive. So you have to, again, read between the lines. What is she not saying? And then what do we have with all the circumstantial evidence? What do we have when we add that all together? Her what she's not saying plus that circumstantial evidence leads us to, well, in my opinion, it leads us to a place where you can only find Ghislaine Maxwell completely and utterly guilty. There is way too much evidence. There are way too many people that have come out on record saying that she was not only Jeffrey Epstein's underling, like people like to make her out, but that she was also one of the bosses, one of the head honcho. Jeffrey Epstein out in front, making, looking like he's the boss. Really, though, behind the scenes, Ghislaine Maxwell is being shrewd, she's manipulating the situation, and she was the one that was really setting the course when it comes to climbing the social ladder. So again, it provides a lot of context for us moving forward. And remember, this isn't the end of it. There are going to be a lot more documents that come out, and it's going to be a game of connect the dots. So Slate is ahead of the curve there, and they have put together a few different names to pump into some of these places where we found redactions. So let's jump into this article by Slate and see what they came up with. Headline, we cracked the redactions in Ghislaine Maxwell's deposition. Here's what it says about Bill Clinton, Alan Dershowitz, and Prince Andrew. Plus, help us decode more names. This article was authored by Josh Levin, Aaron Mack, and Jonathan L. Fisher. So, like I said, they're going to give you their formula for how they cracked the redactions, and then you can play along. It's like when you were a kid and you got that cool box of cereal and it had that awesome dope recorder ring in it. Yeah, same kind of situation's about to come up. It's a choose your own adventure Hardy Boy story coming your way. On Thursday morning, a federal court released a 2016 deposition given by Ghislaine Maxwell, the 58-year-old British woman charged by federal government with enticing underage girls to have sex with Jeffrey Epstein. That deposition, which Maxwell has fought to withhold, was given as part of a defamation suit brought by Virginia Roberts, who alleges that she was lured to become Epstein's sex slave. The defamation suit was settled in 2017. Epstein died by suicide in 2019. Allegedly. So it's really comes down to a beginning, right? That's what this is. That's the way I look at this. A beginning of the rest of that tranche of documents being dumped. And I would guess that the depositions are the biggest point of contention as far as an appeal will go. But I at this point, I believe in Preska's courtroom, especially that we're going to see a huge dump of documents, and I feel that Preska has just had enough of the BS, and we're going to see just serious stuff come out, and it's going to be filled with more context. It's going to be filled with a few surprises, I'm sure, and it's also going to really be a big piece of the puzzle when we're looking at the whole entire thing as one. In the deposition, Maxwell was pressed to answer questions about the many famous men in Epstein's orbit, among them Bill Clinton, Alan Dershowitz, and Prince Andrew. In the documents that was released on Thursday, those names and others appear under black bars. According to the Miami Herald, which sued for this and other documents to be released, the deposition was released only after days of wrangling over redactions. Well, yeah, of course, look. We can't be naive and think that this sort of document is just going to come out without any redactions. That was definitely going to be the case. I didn't want to see huge, big, black paragraphs redacted, right? So I can understand names. I've said that from the beginning. This stuff's all going to come out in discovery. So I can understand names right now being redacted, but I also respect the efforts of people out there who are working to break those redactions, right? Fair game. Game on. You release the document. Now, if people are crafty enough to come up with a way to crack your code, to crack the redactions, then hey, you know what? It is all fair in love and war. And it's obvious that Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, and the rest of the bipedal serpents have declared open war on civil society. So, time to repay the favor. It turns out, though, those redactions are possible to crack. That's because the deposition, which you can read in full here, includes a complete alphabetized index of the redacted and unredacted words that appear in the document. So, in the index of the deposition, it gives you the alphabetized list of all the words that have been redacted. So going through there, you can, if you put the time in and you're a willing code breaker, you're one of the wind talkers, you can jump on in and you can try and, break some of those redactions for yourself like they did here at Slate. I haven't done any of that as of yet. I've been looking at some other things, connecting some other dots. Also, obviously, I still have my eye on, the financial sector, which we're going to talk about again tomorrow morning, more Leon Black news. But I have many balls in the air right now as we continue to try and make heads or tails of this case. For example, after cracking the redactions, we know that Maxwell was asked about an email that Dershowitz, Mr. AKA I kept my underpants on, allegedly sent to Epstein. In that email, I kept my underpants on Dirty Dersh reportedly wrote that he was working on several possible articles about unfairness in the legal process that allows false charges to be inserted into legal documents. So you see what they're doing again, right? A lot of people don't talk about that, but it's a big point for me. The technicalities, all right? The unfairness of the legal process. This is all a huge deal. And when we get it in the redactions like this, now we have receipts proving our speculation. So that's why I personally think that these sealed documents are it's a huge benefit to the investigation, because what happens is we're going on, we say, oh yeah, look, it's obvious they're using technicalities, and it's quite obvious that they're doing it. But we aren't in the courtroom. We didn't have access to these files. But now that these files are out, they're unsealed. You can see right here from the email that Alan Dershowitz was doing exactly that, working behind the scenes, using loopholes, looking for technicalities. It's not that my client is innocent. It's that I'm better at finding a loophole than you are. Here's how to deduce the redacted words using former President Bill Slick Willie Clinton as an example. You can see the index that a word that falls alphabetically between clients and clock appears on quite a number of pages. From this, we know that the word starts with the letters CL. Now, what they do is, it's like I said, it's like a little decoder chart here. They have a bunch of different characters and letters talking about columns, etc., etc. The index indicates that this word shows up on the 7th line of page 135. If we go to page 135, we can see that, in this instance, the word Clinton has not been redacted. So again, the court system leaving a loophole, but this time, one for us to manipulate. A backdoor for us to climb through. Surprise! We're here! Your redacted names? Well, we're going to figure those out too. There's no stopping this avalanche now. There's no stopping the vast investigation being taken on by many people at this point. And the more information that comes out, the more type of sealed documents that are unsealed, and the more good work like Slate did here, the more interested people are going to be to get involved. The more interested people are going to be to try and find out what some of these redacted names are for themselves. It's like a giant mystery. Who doesn't love being involved in a huge mystery, especially one where, who knows, we might put something together that's really tangent. There might be something here that is right in front of our faces that we missed. We just don't know. That's why it's so important to have all of these documents. And then when you have a process like the one Slate undertook here, you have some good stuff, some really good stuff. And you'll see it in the article. Obviously, the article will be posted in the description box. You can click on the hyperlink, go look at the article for yourself like usual, and you'll see the correlation between the index and where you find the names on the pages. On other pages listed in the same index entry, the word Clinton has been redacted. See page 104. The redacted word that appears before Clinton in these cases is president. So the line of questioning is about Bill Clinton or redacted on an airplane. I believe it was 98 or 99. That was Maxwell's answer. Then the question from the lawyer. Was that for both airplanes and helicopters or just helicopters? Maxwell's answer, just helicopters. Question, have you ever flown redacted on your helicopter? Ghislaine's answer, that is another one of Virginia's lies. Question by the lawyer, the question is, have you ever done that? Answer by Ghislaine, I have never flown redacted at any time ever, in any helicopter, in any place, any time, in any state, in any country, at any time, anywhere. So according to the index, they were talking about Bill Clinton here. And we know that there are a lot of really credible sources that say otherwise, that say that Ghislaine Maxwell ferried plenty of people to and from the island and elsewhere. So again, we're going to have to see what happens. We're going to have to see what information comes out, and we're going to have to see what sort of receipts we can put in our pocket. But this little code breaking exercise they have going on here, this is very good stuff. And look, it's important. All right. It's important that if Bill Clinton's mentioned in here, that comes to light. If Trump's mentioned in here, that comes to light. Whoever is mentioned, whoever was involved, needs to be put on blast. That Clinton example is representative. Maxwell's most common responses in the deposition that she doesn't know anything and that the accusations against her and Epstein are lies. Well, look, the reason you get somebody to do a deposition like this is not because you think they're going to be truthful. It's because you want to set them up for perjury. It's a perjury trap. And that's exactly what happened to Maxwell. She walked into it. And if the prosecutors and Cy Vance's bitch ass and the rest of the politically charged knuckleheads at the SDNY would have really been paying attention to what's going on in the real world as opposed to trying to score political points, then maybe, just maybe, all of this would have happened a lot long ago. But here we are. Can't really complain about that. We can't change the past. At least justice is being pursued now. At least there's some transparency now. And at the very least, in Judge Preska's courtroom, there seems to be a federal judge who is not messing around anymore with these so-called members of polite society, and she's treating them like anybody else would be treated under the law. But it's still worthwhile to see who Maxwell was asked about and how exactly she responded. Of course, because again, it adds a lot of context to us, right? And there might be a little gem in there. It might be something that goes against what Dershowitz has said, or something that might lend credence to one of the other allegations. So there's a lot of documents here, and got to comb through them. But we talked about it leading up to here, that I didn't think there would be a bombshell. And I thought the biggest factor and the most important part of this deposition released was that it was going to be in people's hands so they could read how disgusting things were for themselves. And just by the questions, just by what the lawyers for Virginia are inferring, you can read between the lines to what occurred there. And a normal person would have answered honestly, not been evasive. Consider the example of Alan, I kept my underpants on, Dershowitz. The index indicated that there's a redacted word that comes after airport and before alcohol. There's also a redacted word that comes after depth and before describe. And again, it references the index. So once you check out this article, you'll be able to see all of that for yourself, and you'll see what they mean. It'll make a lot more sense. The A word and the D word, the index reports, appear consecutively on pages 211, 299, 368, and 407. Based on context, we can easily deduce that those two words are Allen and Dershowitz. Here's a redacted case of Dershowitz on page 210. Virginia Roberts has publicly accused Dershowitz of having sex with her while she was underage, which he has denied. All right, so it's another excerpt from the deposition. It says Victoria, but I believe that means Virginia Roberts against Ghislaine Maxwell are not true. The original allegations are not new and have been fully responded to and shown to be untrue. And the next paragraph says, each time the story is retold, it changes with new salacious details about public figures and world leaders. And now it is alleged that Miss Roberts, that redacted, according to Slate, Alan Dershowitz, is involved in having sexual relations with her, which he denies. So, here's something that's important. Each time the story is retold, it changes with new salacious details. Alan Dershowitz has been using that as his defense for quite some time, and it's just simply not true. Virginia has been pretty consistent about her story, and I think it's BS for Alan Dershowitz to get away with trying to say she's been inconsistent in some regard, because that is not the case. And here's one more example. Again, a bunch of different indexed numbers about pages and words that were redacted. We know that one of the blacked out words, which appears unredacted on line 10 of page 2, is Andrews. Oh, Mr. Joe Exotic of the Windsor family. What, you folks thought I was done savaging that moron? No, don't worry, we'll be hopping across the pond for an update very soon. But there's no way that he wasn't in this deposition. There's no way that Prince Andrew wasn't in this 7-hour deposition. And there's also no way that Ghislaine Maxwell told the truth about Andrew. She just absolutely lied right through her teeth, point blank, period. That index entry also indicates that two of those words show up multiple times on page 290. So here's page 290. Mr. Pagliuccia. Objection to the form and foundation. There was a lot of that so far in this deposition. Objection to the form and foundation. Blah, blah, blah. Technicality. Blah, blah, blah. My client isn't innocent, but objection anyway because I'm a douchebag. Whole bunch of that. Answer, I don't recollect. I recollect the puppet, but I don't recollect anything around the puppet. You characterized puppet. I characterize it as, as a characterization of redacted Prince Andrew, or just Andrew, because it's a short redaction, so I'd guess Andrew. Question, do you recollect asking Virginia Roberts to sit on redacted lap with the caricature of redacted? So this is definitely Prince Andrew, not even a doubt, 100% Joe Exotic of the Windsor family and his weird-ass little puppet. I mean, Who the hell tries to sexually assault somebody with a little puppet and then think it's funny in a room full of other disgusting bipedal serpents? Roberts wrote about an identical incident involving a puppet and Prince Andrew in her memoir. From this, we can deduce that the words here are Andrews and Andrew. Do you recollect asking Virginia Roberts to sit on Andrew's lap with the caricature of Andrew? And, again, it all starts to make sense, right? The stuff that we have heard before, well, now we have it right here at our fingertips in the depositions, unsealed for everybody to see for themselves. No more BSing around, no more hidden document. Right there, transparent for all of us to see. And that is all we can, that's really the first step of getting justice, right? It's definitely a huge step towards justice, because if they know that they have people that are not going to take their nonsense, their half-assed attempts of investigations, then they're going to be compelled to investigate this the proper way and see it through. What else does Maxwell say about Prince Andrew? In exchange, starting on page 105, Maxwell says that she's known him for a very long time, but that she never introduced him to Jeffrey Epstein or Virginia Roberts, and that Andrew never told her that he'd had sex with Roberts. Then there's this exchange on page 232. So, did Prince Andrew tell you that he did not have sex with Virginia Roberts? He doesn't even know who Virginia Roberts is. Yeah, that picture says differently. And how about the email he sent you in 2015 when he wanted to know, I have some questions about Virginia Roberts? Yeah, he didn't know her, though. Such a lie. Again, just going through this, a few hundred pages that I've been through it, I found 8 or 9 times that she's perjured herself. Forget the 2 perjury charges. Just charge her with like 400 counts of perjury at this point. Because every time she opens her fork-tongued serpent mouth, a lie spills right out. Did he tell you that he didn't have sex with her? It would be difficult to have sex with someone you don't know. Again, it's such BS. And the fact that this was sealed for so long and she was able to get away with this kind of nonsense, it's just unbelievable. How did it take until 2020 for Virginia the bipedal serpent Maxwell to get arrested? Here are some of the other names we cracked. 1. Doug Band. Page 137 of the deposition. Now, Doug Band is a huge bundler for the Democrats and for Bill Clinton especially. He was like Bill Clinton's fixer, Bill Clinton's, Swiss Army knife kind of guy. And he was deeply involved with Bill Clinton. 100% without a doubt, one of Bill Clinton's top guys. Rebecca Boylan, page 352. Jean-Luc Brunel, pages 99, 116, 166, 167, 379, and 380. Chelsea Clinton, page 377, another Clinton mention. So, look, you're going to be hard-pressed at this point to have anyone take you seriously if you're not taking the fact that Bill Clinton, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and the rest of them were super tight. Nobody's going to take you serious. And if you're running around calling other people biased and you're not accepting this fact, and that's what it is, folks, a fact, then you need to do yourself some soul searching and step out of the echo chamber. Because it is without a doubt 100% true that Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein were very tight for a very long time, and they were connected financially as well, if you're going to believe Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, Mr. Lefcourt. Glenn Dubin, pages 57, 58, 61, 237, 303, 304, 339. Al Gore, pages 230, 231. Sarah Kellen, pages 47, 48, 48, 56, 57, 255, 328, 329, 378, 395, 396, 411, 412. That goes to right there shows you, just that alone shows you that Sarah Kellen was into this so deep And she was so close to what was going on that it is mind-boggling that she is still walking around free right now. Now, I'll grant you, she might be one of those sealed indictments. No doubt about it, probably is. But, I mean, besides Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't know if there's somebody else involved in this that I want to be arrested as badly at this point. This lady has been able to just skirt by her whole life. No problem, no big deal. I'll change my name. I'll marry a NASCAR driver. F the world, F justice, and certainly F the survivors. That's how she was living her life. That's how she was conducting herself. And no repercussions for what she had going on. No sort of answering for her part in Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Well, that shit's coming to an end, I think, folks. Nadia Marchenko, also known as Nadia Marchenkova, pages 40, 47, 87, 255, 396. Marvin Minsky, another academia, another super smart guy. Yeah, I'm so smart. Who is accused of partaking in not only enabling Jeffrey Epstein, but the actual sexual crimes themselves. David Rogers, pages 129, 410. Alfredo Rodriguez, pages 317, 328, 329, 330, 331, 334, 335. Alfredo Rodriguez is another man that had a lot of information on this case. So it doesn't shock me that he is mentioned on so many pages. And Kevin Spacey, well, we know he was on that trip to Africa. Chris Tucker, same, Africa, 266. Leslie Wexner, pages 117, 314, 380, 381, 403, 404. Wexner's another one who is up to his neck in the Jeffrey Epstein pile of shit. And there's not enough going on around Wexner, in my opinion, either. Not enough hard-charging investigative journalism. But maybe this is going to open up the floodgates, folks. Maybe this is going to get people really digging in the legacy media to try and uncover the many layers of this large and vast cover-up. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, folks, I'll be back tomorrow morning and, we'll get back at it.